What's up, Michigan fans? Welcome to another episode of the Bleav In Michigan Podcast. I am Brandon Brown, joined as always by Grant Perry. And Grant, we are getting closer and closer, dude. I think we're at 17 days now. Is that Marlin Klein days away from Michigan kickoff?
Marlin Klein, baby. We're almost there.
It's number 17, not the most popular number. I had to do a little digging real quick. I'm like, oh, there's a guy right now on the roster with number 17, and maybe poised to have a big breakout year. Marlin Klein, the tight ends have always ate pretty well in the Michigan offense with Sherrone Moore and Jim Harbaugh. So big things expected out of Marlin Klein. I don't remember if we talked about this on the podcast, but there's some people saying that Marlin Klein is like one of the 5 fastest dudes on the team. Like, is that just one of those buzzy things you hear during fall camp? Is homeboy at 6'4", 240 plus really one of the fastest dudes on the team?
I mean, dude, like it could be one of those things where, it's like everyone's just itching for a little bit of information and that just slipped through the crack. And there could be some truth to that. We don't know. I'm excited to see it this fall. I think he has the potential. If he is a top 5 fastest guys on the team, man, I'm like, if you're Bryce, how are you not throwing that to him, 2 out of 3 plays, a drive? Like, speed at the Y position, I mean, that only helps not only Bryce, but the other receivers and everyone else. So when you got a guy that can stretch the field vertically, look out, folks. So I'm excited to see that going.
By the way, 6'6", 247. I undersold him a little bit. 6'6", 247. Maybe one of the fastest dudes on the team. Probably the fastest guy in the tight end room for sure if they're talking about him like that. And we know Colston Loveland could run. Luke Schoonmaker back in the day could run. Your boy Jake Butt could run. Like, if you have a guy, like you just said, man, if you have a guy who can press the seams, who can make a little bit happen after the catch from the tight end spot, because that position has evolved a ton. Like, you think about your dad's or your grandpa's tight end. That's not these dudes anymore. These are jumbo receivers. Moving around like a young Grant Perry, if you will, at 6'6", 245, right? That's what guys are looking for now. So 17 days, Marlin Klein days away from the season. And that means that the coaches, the players, different people involved with the Michigan program are getting in front of the media more and more as, there's media availability each week now. We're we're literally just a week or so, a little more than a week or so away from game week when they'll actually have like their set schedule and the 3 players and the, post and pre-practice stuff. So Sherrone Moore did recently speak to the media, and I want to start just with Sherrone Moore, the public speaker first, before we get into his actual words. He's real good at coach speak. Like, I think Harbaugh was pretty good at coach speak, and then the longer he was at Michigan, he started to open up a little bit more, and he would give some specifics. I love Sherrone Moore. I've known him since his days at CMU. He does not give anything away. He keeps it very close to the vest. From a former player's standpoint, I just wanted to kind of touch on that approach a little bit. First of all, do the players care? Like, do they care what the coaches say in the media? Are they like, why wouldn't coach just say this? Or do you not pay attention to it at all? Like, and I'm sure it's probably different for each guy, but what do you remember about playing for Jim Harbaugh when he would or would not say things in the public? And you're like, bro, that ain't what he just said 10 minutes ago in the locker room. Like, why is he talking like that?
Yeah, I mean, so that would be the biggest case is like coaches say one thing inside the weight room, and then they say another thing to the media. That would be a situation where you could lose the player's trust almost. But with Harbaugh, with Sherrone, I think Sherrone learned a little bit from Coach Harbaugh there. You keep your cards close, man. Information and intel, that's meant for the team. I mean, when when I was playing and we went into camp, he called it the damn submarine. Like, we went below sea level, no communication. Listening to Sherrone Moore, he's really good at it, almost political, right? Kind of hits at it, but doesn't answer it at all. And that's coaching 101, man. It's like, hey, give them what they want, but don't give them really anything at all. And just kind of teeter that line and keep it in the team. And you learn a lot, especially dealing with the media. Like, one thing I learned from Coach Harbaugh was never getting into comparisons. When someone asks you like, hey, what do you think about player A versus player B? And it's just like, hey, I think they're both really good. They suit the system well. And that was just an example that he gave us as a team. It's just like, hey, never get into comparisons. That's where the media is going to try to divide you and write a story. So that's a little tidbit there.
That is a great point. As someone who's been in the media, of course, we want as much information as possible. Whether, depending on what your role is. I used to cover recruiting, then I covered the team. You want to give good information, but I can totally respect that, at least that angle. I remember, Coach Harbaugh would always say that no matter what, if you compare someone always kind of ends up getting disparaged, like whether you meant to or not, like so-and-so is faster. Also, that guy's slow. Well, that's not what I said, but it kind of comes off that way. And so I totally get that approach. One thing I never really got was like things that are going to be known in a couple of, like, this is what our first topic is going to be. Sherrone Moore said he's going to name a starting quarterback on the 25th during the game week media availability. So that's 12 days from now. First of all, Coach, we know it's Underwood. Okay. Like we know it's Bryce Underwood. Right. Second of all, what are those 12 days really going to do? Like you got media people waiting to write stories, waiting. And look, he could do it however. I'm poking fun a little bit. Like I said, this is what you do in the offseason leading up to the games. But what's it going to hurt if he just says today, yeah, Bryce is the guy? Like, why not just say that?
Yeah, a great question. There are a lot of things to go into it. One, you got a freshman quarterback that's been handed the world essentially, $2 million a year, everyone's saying that he's the guy, right? Maybe you want to ease him into that, another week of competition versus Mikey King and Jake Garcia. And then two, maybe Mikey's making a good push right now in camp and doing some good things as well. And maybe you want to not just throw Mikey King at the number 2 spot immediately to keep his competitive level up in camp and keep his motivation high. Those are some reasons I can think of. But then again, too, it could be coach just like, hey, we know who it is. Like we know the starter. Like we're just going to play along with the media until we have to say it. Like we don't want Oklahoma or New Mexico to just get a, all right, number 19's our starting quarterback, right? Like leave them guessing, give somebody a job to do, right? There's some scout in a building somewhere that's looking like, all right, I don't know if it's going to be Bryce yet or it's Mikey, right? So it's just little things, playing with the media, playing with other teams, and just keeping things in-house for sure.
The gamesmanship. You got to love the gamesmanship. And look at Grant bringing some real perspective to it, because that's a great point. The competitive fire that is in all of these guys, maybe it dwindles just a bit if you're Mikey Keene and you already know, like, well, I'm not the guy. Even though if in his head he thinks like, look at 19 over there, like, how am I going to beat that guy out? But if your coach doesn't say it publicly, it gives you something to keep pushing for, something to keep fighting for. And all these dudes are competitive. They're all really good. They're all playing at a high level. But I totally understand when you bring it up from a player standpoint, pushing Mikey Keene, pushing Jake Garcia, pushing Jaden Davis, pushing all these guys to say, like, look, yeah, Bryce was the number 1 recruit in the country. He is really talented. He's probably the guy. But go take his job. If you take his job, that makes us better. So I think there's some truth to that, some credence to the approach. But I almost get mad at myself a little bit. Like, it's like, God, I really have been doing the media thing for so long. Like, why won't coach just say it? Like, just say it. But there's a bigger picture for them and some stuff in-house and behind closed doors that changes how the team may approach things. So with that being said, Grant, I'm just going to ask you straight up. Is there actually a quarterback battle? It's Bryce Underwood. It's Mikey Keene, the transfer from Fresno State, who did some decent things against Michigan last year in the big house. He's a gamer, pretty athletic, live arm, can throw all over the place. We mentioned Jake Garcia, the transfer from East Carolina, has played a good bit of football, was a high-level recruit at one point himself. And then Jaden Davis is kind of like the forgotten man here. People were calling for him to play last year when the passing offense was not very good. Is there actually a battle if you were to make a guess on how this is looking, on the practice field, in the weight room, in the film room, all that stuff?
Damn right there's a battle, man. Someone's got to take control of the quarterback position for the University of Michigan. And if you think that they're just rolling the balls out for Bryce in practice, like, hey, go ahead, throw that stick route. If you don't hit it, it's okay. We'll give you another try. No, like, they're grinding his ass. And if you're think about it, if you're a coach, you got to be a little hesitant nowadays with the transfer portal and guys leaving and coming and pushing too hard. But like, if you got a guy like Bryce, man, you're going to try to push him to the brink, right? You want him to see the hardest moments in practice so that in a game, at 8 p.m. in Norman, Oklahoma, he's not sweating bullets, right? He's like, all right, I know my looks. I know what I'm doing. So, yeah, hell yeah, I think there's a battle going on. I would say that Mikey King might be giving him some competition, too, just because of his experience and having played. But then again, too, Bryce did take majority of snaps in the spring. Mikey King's coming back from that shoulder. So it's a little bit question there. So Mikey King could, be getting caught up here in camp. Brother, hell yes, they're battling, brother. I bet they're having a great battle, and more than likely betting favorite is going to be Bryce. But I mean, you gotta grind those two guys together, because you got to have Bryce ready, because if he's your guy, he's your guy. And then two, Mikey King, I mean, it's a long season, right? I mean, you name Bryce the starter now. I mean, he's going to carry that for another 17 weeks. What's one more week to wait? Then he's going to carry the starting role for 17 weeks. And always got to have your backup ready too. So damn right, there's a battle going on, because you need two quarterbacks, especially late in the season.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, because I mean, there's so much hype around Bryce Underwood, rightfully so. Tons of expectations. Expect the offense to be better with him than it was last year. He's just too talented for it not to look really, really good at times. But there's going to be some bumps in the road. He's a freshman. He's never done it at this level. The speed's going to be more. Everybody's bigger, stronger, faster. And I mean, God forbid he can't go during a game or something. You do need a guy to step in, and Michigan has a couple of options in Mikey Keene, in Jake Garcia, who have played a lot of football. So you want them to be ready as well. But I think you made a great point, though, in bringing up the transfer portal. We haven't seen it a ton, but it happens. The guys literally can just be like, I'm done. Like, I'm good. Like, after a game or two, even guys be like, yeah, I'm going to hit the portal. And so you obviously want to try to avoid that with two guys like this. But I guess that's where my next question or my next point of discussion. Both of them have played. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, why are they at Michigan? Like, it's Bryce Underwood's show, at least on the outside. I mean, we don't know exactly what it looks like behind closed doors, but why would two guys with a lot of playing experience and seemingly some good ball left in them come to a place like Michigan when you can hit? And I mean, let's be honest, Jake Garcia is like the veteran of the country, perhaps. Like, why? It just kind of makes you wonder. Like, there's probably a spot out there. I mean, you could probably name several teams in the Big Ten where Mikey Keene could go start today. But he's at Michigan and maybe backing up Bryce Underwood. It just makes you wonder why, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid question, and I think we hit on this a little bit in a couple episodes ago. But especially for Jake, kind of seems like a good landing spot, right? Kind of at the tail end of his college career. Well, why not be able to attach that M to your resume? And I mean, come in here and compete, man. No one's, the third, second string is up for grabs. And, but a little bit more, curiosity on Mikey's part, right? You think, Mikey probably had a little bit more better opportunity versus Jake to go somewhere and make an impact. Then you think back to, like, Mikey King sees a situation in which, hey, they're getting an All-American high school young quarterback. Like, I can maybe go provide support, if not be a guy that can come in and relieve when he needs it, or two, challenge for the job. If he might just have a sicko mindset where he's like, I'm going to go take that guy's job. Like, that could be the case. I haven't talked to him, so I have to talk to him to see where his mindset is. But and then again, too, thinking about trees and who and where you've been, right? Chip Lindsey, right? A familiar system, one that he's not going to have to go learn a whole new playbook. He's going to be able to come in and kind of just get right into it. So that'd be my take on it, as to why those guys probably chose Michigan. But to each their own.
Yeah, players want to play, and there's everybody's got a little bit of that sicko, I think, at this level. You have to. Like, we talked about it on the last episode, the stuff you guys go through during fall camp. If you don't think you've got a shot at playing, you're probably not doing that. I mean, why? There's a little bit of a screw loose in all these guys trying to chase down those snaps and that playing time. But you're right. The coaching tree. I don't know these two young men. Maybe they have aspirations to coach and going to a place like Michigan with Sherrone Moore, with Chip Lindsey. I mean, hell, even Wink Martindale. I mean, yeah, typically you don't see quarterbacks go to the defensive side of the ball, but you never know. These guys don't know where their futures are going to be if it's not under center. So I think that's a great point. Michigan's quarterback room is in, such better shape than it was last year. And, it seems like it's Bryce Underwood's job, but these other guys are battling, and we will all know publicly in about 12 days, according to Sherrone Moore and his his coach speak, and I think he said like, "Set your clocks." It's like, come on,
Monday a game week, right?
Yeah, he's poking the bear a little bit, like he does, and like you said, he doesn't give too much away if he doesn't have to, but that's that's kind of become the way things are done at Michigan. So I mean, not become that way. It's been that way a long time, actually, going all the way back to Bo Schembechler kind of keeping things in house. Even though, man, I don't know if you really know this, Grant. When I was at the Wolverine, I worked with a guy named John Borton, who's been doing it for as long as I've been an adult, at least. He talks about how he used to just walk into the building, walk into Schembechler, and just be like, "Hey, I'm going to go talk to Bo," and literally would just walk in and talk to Bo, or like grab Desmond Howard real quick and sit down and talk to him. I'm like, yeah, dude, imagine if we could do that now, the kind of content you would get and the stories you could get. But yeah, keeping things close to the vest and the submarine, so to speak, has kind of been a thing at Michigan. When you were playing, Grant, did you like that? Did you like the fact that the coaches kind of put up a wall and a buffer, so to speak? I mean, you guys are grown. You guys are young men, young adults. You got your phones. You could do whatever. But, like, they kind of fostered this environment of, like, this is us. This is our time. That's all that matters. Turn that other stuff, turn it off and shut it out.
Yeah. I loved it, man. I bought into it. And I think it's a motivating tool. It's like, hey guys, it's link arms. It's us right now versus the world. Like, let's go to our camp. Let's retreat right now. Let's build up our forces and let's get ready to attack this thing in 30 days as hard as we can. So you really kind of embody that and not to compare this to anything of serious or going to war or anything like that. This compares nothing to that. But like, you text your family like, "Hey, love you guys. Like, I'll talk to you when I can. Like, it's going to be a while before I'm back on my phone." So little things like that. So it's a mindset, man. And when you learned it, after freshman year, after you've already been ran over a few times and you go into your sophomore season, you're getting ready for camp. That's a mindset thing where you're like, man, let's go. Let's get after it.
Very cool. Well, that's a little bit of what's going on in the quarterback room. I would like to now talk about who those guys are going to turn around and hand the ball off to, because you and I have said we think Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall have a chance to be a phenomenal 1-2 punch. Jordan Marshall showed against Alabama that he can carry the rock, man. He really can carry the rock. He did has had his best performance as a true freshman in that bowl game. And Haynes comes from Alabama. I mean, maybe running back you. I mean, I think you could make that argument. So if he was playing there, he could play anywhere. And he, saw, more opportunities. He carried the ball 79 times for 448 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. I mean, if you think about it, that's about as good of a season as Donovan Edwards ever had at Michigan. I mean, like, that's pretty productive on a team that had Jalen Milroe carrying the ball a ton, Jam Miller the splitting carry. So, but my discussion that I want to get into with you, Grant, is what will it look like for Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall in Michigan's backfield, given the fact that you're breaking in a freshman quarterback and there's a new OC in Chip Lindsey. So let me throw some numbers at you, and then we'll kind of talk about 2025. So in 2023, Michigan's championship season, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, seemingly killing it every single week. Blake Corum had 1,245 yards and 27 touchdowns. Like, that number's crazy. I don't think we need to really talk about that number too much, but that's how productive he was. And Donovan Edwards added 497 and 5 touchdowns, obviously 2 huge ones against Ohio State, some more in the playoffs. Last year, Michigan's offense struggled mightily at times. Kalel Mullings was Michigan's leading rusher with 948 yards and 12 touchdowns. Donovan Edwards, who everybody thought was going to be this superstar, have this big monster breakout season, he only had 589 yards and 4 scores. By the way, Donovan looks like he's doing all right with the Jets. I don't know if you saw that, but he got called back, but he had like an 80-yard touchdown run in a preseason game. All right. That's a mouthful. I threw a lot of numbers out there. What does it look like with Justice Haynes and Isaiah Marshall in 2025? Let's go. Let's talk carries. Let's talk yards. Let's talk touchdowns. Is this 1A, 1B? Do you think it's Haynes then Marshall? Do you think it's Marshall then Haynes? Like, how does this look to you? Again, 17 days away from Michigan's opener.
Yeah, great question. Another big, not so much question mark as, we know these guys can play football and
sure,
we're not really worried about that. But more of a question mark is, how's it going to look? You got Jordan Marshall coming off that Bama game, looking really like a Blake Corum clone, if you will, with even bigger size and good explosion. And then you look at Justice Haynes and what he did at Alabama, right in the SEC down there where they play, quote unquote, that real hard football. I mean, these are impressive numbers, especially when you take in consideration, like you said, that he was, I think, third on the team in yards rushing wise, when especially with Jalen Milroe and Jam Miller leading the way. I think this is going to look somewhat like a quarterback battle in season where you kind of roll with the hot hand. I think they're both going to get reps. To start out game one, I think it's probably going to go series. If a guy needs a blow here and there, like they're gonna tap him out. But I think who's reading the holes well, who's seeing their keys, who's picking up those hard yards. I think that's going to depend on the day, man. And I think any given day you can get any one of these guys' best games. Justice Haynes, electric in a bottle. I mean, 14 missed tackles. That tied Donovan's 2023 season, and he only did that. Justice did that with 78 attempts to Donovan's 119. So he's making guys miss. He had 10 runs of 10 yards, 5 of 15, and he can make things go. And Jordan Marshall, the same thing. My question is, the running backs are going to go. Can we get the holes open? Can we maintain? Can we get to the second level? Can we affect those linebackers and really take it to the next level to where we're leaning on the run, not counting on it?
It's a good problem to have when you've got two. I mean, they're not. It's hard. I'm trying to think of a word because they haven't done it a lot. Like they got a lot of tread on the tires. That's a good way to put it. Running back is a brutal position. Health certainly factors into. I mean, that's a whole other. Ahead of the season, it's like, well, if they could stay healthy. I mean, you say that about every position, but it's very, very important at running back because they just get hit so hard and so often. But both of these guys haven't carried the ball a lot. So they have a lot of life left. As I said, 31 carries for Jordan Marshall last year as a true freshman and only 79 for Justice Haynes. So that's not a ton. I was looking back at last year's picture for Michigan. Kalel Mullings carried it 185 times and Donovan Edwards carried it 128 times. Do you think – so let's call it 300. Let's just make it 300 carries. It might be a little bit less than that. But if you had 300 carries to give out to these two backs, are you trying – and I know it's game by game, health factors in, hot hand, skill set. I mean, all of that factors in. But are you thinking like, let's go 150. Like these guys are that kind of player. It's not really a Thunder Lightning thing necessarily because they both are pretty explosive. Like they're not identical, but I think they're pretty similar. Like I think you could ask them both to do the same kinds of things and they would be successful.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Kind of somewhat of the same build almost. And like you said, I think you take one off the field. It's not like you lose, a weapon. Like when you take Donovan off the field back in 2023, you lose a little bit of a reception factor from the running back position. Blake, I mean, he could catch it. He was effective, but Donovan was the kind of that big play receiving back. And with these two guys, I think when you take one off, I think you don't really lose anything in the other. So I agree. I think a 150 split, one, ensures everyone's happy, everyone eats, everyone touches, right? You're always happy for the other guy's success. That's what Harbaugh would always say. And two, if that's the case, we're kind of taking them at the same pace, right? We're not going to jam one in, one more than the other, right? We're not going to burn one's tires before the other. We're kind of just going to ride them out. And then I think that 150 will start to fluctuate when, say, Jordan Marshall breaks off a 25-yard run, right? He's got the hot hand. I think that's when you see it fluctuate. But I think going in, it's going to be a 150 out of 300 carries right down the middle. And then depending on the situation, the moment, then we'll start to see, okay, maybe Justice Haynes is a little bit more of a receiving back versus what Jordan Marshall can do. But yet to be determined, man. Excited to see that unfold.
I don't know why you wouldn't approach it that way. It's such a luxury to have two backs that can carry it 20 plus times a game if you need them to. We saw, I pulled this up while you were speaking as well. Jordan Marshall, 23 carries, 100 yards against Alabama in a bowl game as a true freshman after not playing much during the year. So, he got 23 of his 31 carries in the last game of the season against Alabama. So he's proven that he could be the guy. I think Justice Haynes could very easily be the guy. They're both listed at 5'11". Jordan Marshall, 200 pounds. Justice Haynes, 210. I mean, they're pretty similar backs. But I think that's a great point that you make. Let's get them lathered up, see who excels where. I think we would be remiss, and Grant, this has always been big at Michigan, pass pro. Who's picking up pass pro? Who can pick up the block? Who can pick up the blitz? Who's going to chop that linebacker down? They're both about the same size, so I don't think it comes down to that, but it's about being in the right position, the right technique, working with the coaching staff to make sure you're keeping your quarterback clean. So I think that's all of that stuff factors in, but I think just running ability alone, you've got two very able guys who can do a lot of the same types of things, and I think that bodes well for what Michigan wants to do. Last thing, and then we'll get out of here as we're approaching a half an hour. Is it going to be as much? So we said, all right, let's look at the carries last year. Let's look at the carries the year before that. Enter Chip Lindsey. Do we have 300 carries to even go around, or is that going to look more like maybe 220? And you're going to have the run game with Bryce Underwood involved, or whoever the quarterback is, as we already discussed. You're going to try to get McCauley involved. You're going to try to get Marlin Klein 40 grabs. Like, what's the offense going to look like as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think one bet's safe. I think we're going to see less carries. I think last year we had to lean on it, man. I mean, it's all that we could do. So I think the carries will go down. I think you're right in what you're saying. I think carries total will go down. Carries per running back will also go down due to Bryce, his ability to run and create things with his legs. And then too, I mean, Bryce is a quarter of what everyone's talking about, man. We're going to be able to throw that football as well. So, a thing to keep in mind too, I'd like to see is where does Justice Haynes and where does Jordan Marshall, where do they end up compared to Donovan in receptions, in receiving yards? Where do they, who provides, something else and maybe shows that they can be a guy not only in the run game, but like you said, maybe the pass game, whether it's pass pro or getting out and beating a linebacker one-on-one for a tough catch.
So in 2023, Michigan's championship season, Donovan Edwards had 30 catches for 249 yards. Didn't score a touchdown through the air that year, which is kind of surprising. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, that is. Yeah. Blake had 16 for 117 that year.
And then last year, Donovan had 18 catches for 83 yards and a score. His biggest year, really, I think, was his freshman season. Maybe not number of catches, but he had 18 catches for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. I know he really went off against Maryland as a freshman. That kind of showed this dude could be a slot receiver. He could, whatever you want to do with him, he can pretty much do it. So, yeah, that'll be really interesting. How does Chip Lindsey factor the running backs into the passing game? What does the tight end usage look like? Who's going to separate themselves in that wide receiver room? There are some $1 million questions around this offense, especially, I think, Grant, heading into the 2025 season with potentially a very dynamic and talented quarterback and a new OC. I mean, that could bring a lot of change. I would think good change. I would expect the offense to be better, but we'll find out in 17 days, Grant.
Hey, come on, Marlin Klein. Let me see that 40.
7 there, baby. Days. That means tomorrow is 16 days, or Denard Robinson days.
Denard Robinson. There we go.
Another Denard, man. What a fun dude to watch. 15. Who we got for 15? Current player?
Oh, yeah, Hausman. Yeah. I don't know why I always say Hausman. I don't know why I say it like that. Hausman. I know it's not it.
It looks very German.
It does.
Two N's on the end.
It does. Steve Breston for the throwback.
Yeah, that's a classic one right there. And then on down, we're approaching single digits, Grant. It's going to be excited when we can say, how about 9 days? How about Grant Perry days? Do you identify more with the 9 or the 88 at this point in your life?
I don't pick sides, man.
Okay.
I accept both, man.
Was it 2 years in both, or 3 and 1?
2 and 2.
You're
2
both,
and 2.
man.
Hey, right, symmetrical, right down the middle, baby.
Love it. Everybody out there listening, thank you so much. Again, we are getting closer and closer. Grant and I are excited that the season is coming. But I don't know if this is exciting to you guys. It's exciting. You're going to get more of us. You take that how you want it, right? 3 or 4 shows a week, Grant. That's what we're going to try to do. I hope everybody will tune into every single one of them. Thank you so much. This has been the Bleav in Michigan podcast, brought to you by FanDuel on the Bleav Podcast Network.